Return of the Mount Hua Sect, Chapter 198. Go ahead if this feels unfair. He will surely become the best in the world in the future. Yes, his abilities and potential are unparalleled in the world. He will surely become a warrior whose name will be known by the whole world. Yes, and the number one son of a Huh? Tangjang shook his head and looked back at Tanggenak. His bag trembled lightly. Tanggenak let out an empty cough. Did I hear it wrong? Tanggenak coughed again and sighed before saying, The value of the person who will become the best in the world is beyond your imagination. Such a person can sometimes be a cause, sometimes a strength, and sometimes a reason. There is a reason why all the sects in the world never think about sparing money and effort to produce someone who is of that level. Yes, Lord. But in such an important situation, that Nothing. Tangjan rubbed his ears. It felt like he was hearing strange stuff. Tanggenak changed the topic. If you cannot become the best in the world, then we need to be friends with someone who is. Tangjan narrowed his eyes. At first glance, it was true, but something felt missing. But Lord, Tangjan asked with a slightly puzzled voice. Of course, there is no doubt about the ability of Mount Hua's divine dragon, but his origin from Mount Hua makes me uneasy. Even if he is the best in the world, there is a limit to what he can do alone, right? What childish words! Tanggenak said firmly. If he isn't from Mount Hua, we cannot even invest in him. If he had power and money on his side, would he even try to become our friend? Besides, the current Mount Hua isn't like what it was in the past, but we can still reach out to them. We can use him, and he can depend on us. Like that, we can have a great relationship. Tangjan nodded. Think about it. What if the legacy of the Tang family was added to the power of Mount Hua's divine dragon? Then, as he says, it would be the number one menace of the world will be born. God damn it. This time, Tanggenak didn't cough. That thieving bastard. No matter how wrong I may have been, the heavenly poison pill. There aren't even that many left for the family. Tanggenak's body trembled. From his shaking shoulders, it was obvious how angry he was. Tangjan. Tanggenak shook his head. The Lord's eyes seem to be getting red. Maybe I'm imagining it. Your Hyung will step down from the position of successor. Tangjan was shocked. Lord, think about it. About what? If you are Mount Hua's divine dragon, would you join hands with us if Tangpei is the successor? Tangjan nodded his head. It wouldn't be possible. Tangpei was someone who had attacked Chongmyung. Regardless of the punishment he was given, Chongmyung's anger couldn't be quenched. It isn't the people who matter, but the family as a whole. If we get something worthwhile by making Tangpei step down, then making him step down isn't a huge deal. That is the way of the Tang family. I will remember this. And I will not let that little bastard forget this. Tanggenak's body trembled again. It was the first time Tangjan had seen his father like this, so he decided to stay silent. And then Tanggenak said, The seat of the successor is open. You will have to compete with your Hyungs. I will do my best. I trust that you will, and I have a task for you. Tangjan looked at Tanggenak. Someone in our family needs to be friends with the divine dragon. From what I see, Mount Hua's divine dragon is very generous to his own. If you can become a person he trusts, the Tang family will be able to achieve much more than just a contractual relationship. Lord, Tangjan looked at Tanggenak with determined eyes. I am not interested in the position of successor. But, he continued, if it is something which will help the family, I will do it. Tanggenak smiled. Right. And he sighed as he spoke. But, be careful. He is no ordinary person. The ends of the eyes of Tanganak now had a water drop. Huh? Is he crying? Tangjan vowed again and again. I have to win over the heart of Mount Hua's divine dragon at all costs. I shouldn't stop with just being acquaintances, but I should become his friend. And to do that, I first need to be acquainted with him, with constant effort. But there was just one thing. I didn't think the effort I was thinking of was this. Tangjan sighed. Yeah, your hands are moving too slow. Sorry. Tangjan, who came to his senses, concentrated on moving his hand. He worked on creating a cool breeze with the fan held in his hand. The Tang family is also great at fanning. He was asked to be friends, but wasn't this different? Chongmyung, who was lying on a soft chair, got up for a moment and whistled as he picked up the fruits in front of him. It wasn't just fruits. All kinds of meat and seafood were lined up in front of him. The cuisine of Sichuan, which is known to be one of the 4 delicacies of the land, was made with the rarest ingredients. Chongmyung, who drank up the white wine of Sichuan, went back to leaning on the chair. Nice. So nice. This is heaven. However, the opinion of the observers were completely different. That looks like a sumptuous feast. A Taoist going after meat and alcohol. This is nothing new, but it still shocks me each time. The disciples of Mount Hua shook their heads, looking at Chongmyung. I must have been crazy to worry about this bastard's well-being. No, what kind of guy who was hit with a knife can be this well? He isn't human. Either way, Chongmyung just kept doing his thing with great excitement and ripped the duck leg apart and shoved it into his mouth. Sasuk, Sahyung, try this. This is so juicy. And this alcohol is really expensive. It's so sweet. Baekchun looked at Chongmyung with blank eyes. Is this okay? No, it was weird if they didn't accept it. And it wasn't polite to say no once they had offered this to them. But this... Baekchun looked at Chongmyung, who was lying on the chair. This house... He looked so comfortable that it's as if this house belongs to him. And now, the person who was fanning Chongmyung was none other than Tangjan, the son of Tanganak. Does this make sense? Tangjan, who received the gaze of Baekchun, went red. Sichuan Tang greets their guests in the best way. Please do not feel burdened and rest. You're the reason why it's burdening. Why the hell are you here and standing there? And contrary to what everyone thought, Chongmyung was enjoying the situation. This is so nice. Unable to bear it any longer, Baekchun said, Chongmyung, this is heaven. Chongmyung. Chongmyung shook his head. Baekchun, who was already losing it, firmly said, This is the Sichuan Tang family. I know. Sasuk, how can I not know that? Then, at least sit right. No matter how wide the chair is, you shouldn't lie down like that. And we are in someone else's house, so let's be polite. I want that too. But... Chongmyung's face contorted, and he stroked the white bandage on his stomach. But what can I do when the place that was stabbed with the blade hurts a lot when I'm sitting? I need to stay like this until I get better. Baekchun shook his head as if he had already known that his words wouldn't work. Yunjong sneaked close to him and said, Should we attack him? What he meant was to take him out while he was injured. Baekchun shook his head. Just leave it alone. He'll get tired of it. Of course, there was a higher chance that such a day would never come. Baekchun took a deep breath. I really thought my heart would fall out. Who would have thought that in just 3 days he would be this lively? Chongmyung really did have a resilient body. Disciple Tangjan. Yes, Disciple Baekchun. Is the Lord not coming? He is busy with some work. I see. He didn't want to see the face of Tanganak, but now he hoped the man would come sooner than later to handle Chongmyung. And as if his wish had been granted by the heavens. Clack. The doors of the hall opened, and Tangnak walked in, and when he came inside, he flinched at the sight of Chongmyung lying down. It was none other than Tangnak who gave the order to have Mount Hua's divine dragon treated well. But there is nothing lacking. Yes, thanks to you. The delicacy of Sichuan is really amazing, although it is a bit spicy. Once you get used to it, it tastes better. Right, so I'm going to eat until I get used to it. That's a good idea. The corners of Tanganak's lips curled up. He had a smile on his usual expressionless face. At that sight, everyone who was watching him coughed. Is he smiling or is he angry? Maybe it's both. Either way, Tanganak spoke without taking his eyes off Chongmyung. Are there any other things you aren't happy about? It's humid and hotter than where I come from, so it is a bit tough for me. And saying that, Chongmyung looked at Tangjan and the fan. The gazes of the father and son met. My son seems to like you. I know. I didn't even ask him to do it, and he's doing it. Without being a bit grateful, Chongmyung drank the white wine. Gah! The drinks are delicious, and the food is even better. This is really a nice place. Right. Seeing this, Tanganak smiled sincerely this time, and he looked at the disciples of Mount Hua. It felt like they were thinking what Chongmyung was doing was disrespectful. What do you know? You people don't know about the Tang family. The greatest courtesy the Tang family can give is to provide the best food and drinks to any guest like Chongmyung was receiving now. It might have been considered rude to other sects, but for the Tang family, this was the best way to show their utmost courtesy. This was the best from the Tang family that used poison and needles on their opponents. No matter how tall the person was, they would always bow in front of the food of the Tang family. But how many people would casually take drinks from the Tang family who works with poison? Even those who were among the medical practitioner families would be scared to do that. But now, Chongmyung was literally pouring and drinking drinks as he scarfed down the food. I wonder if he's acting like this because he knows. Well, whatever it was, Tanganak felt a little better seeing that, because this meant that Chongmyung believed in the Tang family. Well, he is one strange man. He makes people feel good and then makes them tremble in anger, but he is someone who will never be ignored. But what is it? That Tanganak bit his lip. He did decide to meet Mount Hua's divine dragon a few days later, and not today. At that time, he decided to close the deal between the Tang family and Mount Hua separately. Nevertheless, he had another reason for coming here. That Tanganak glanced to the sides again and again. He bit his lip, which gave a terrifying expression, and spoke with a low voice. Nothing. I just came here simply. It was then. Tang! He heard a weird knock. And peek. Huh? Something popped out from the door. Was that a human head? Tanganak, who had a distorted face, suddenly stared at Chongmyung with a pale face. What was it with that old man? Scary. I want to introduce you to someone. Huh? Introduce? Isn't it nice if you young people get along with one another? It would be. In particular, someone who's just like you. Huh? No, nothing. Tanganak shook his head, and unable to hide the annoyed expression on his face, he sighed. Come in. At that moment, someone appeared through the door. Huh? Huh? The eyes of all the disciples of Mount Hua went wide. Was it shock? No, it wasn't shock, but the first thing which caught their eyes was the gorgeous court attire. However, their eyes moved from the dress, and everyone who saw the face became stunned. What is this? So pretty. Oh my, she is a beauty. She is not lacking compared to Same. Oh, was such a person in the Tang family? Yunjong, Baekchun, and Jogul looked at the woman who had walked inside. Give your greetings. Tang So-so of the Tang family greets the heroes of Mount Hua. The face was one thing, but the bright smile stole the prize. Who could hate someone who smiled so well? Yoonjung bowed as he heard it. Hello. Jogul poked Yoonjung on the side, and Yoonjung flinched as he shook his head. Seeing the reaction, Tanganak's face contorted even more. My daughter. She seems to be the same age as you, so I thought you could be good friends. So I called for her. But why are you leaving? And do the people in the Tang family wear such clothes at home? It's her first time trying to make friends, so I guess she must have paid attention to how she looked. That? What was with those ornaments on her neck? What does that have to do with her paying attention? How many did she even wear? Don't tell me those are all hidden weapons. Tanganak's gaze was fixed on Chongmyung. This child wanted to meet you No, she wanted to meet you all. So I brought her here so that you can be introduced. No, I hope you can have a good relationship. A good relationship, I mean. Eh? Huh? No way. It can't be. Chongmyung looked to the left and right. All the Sahyungs were looking at him with strange eyes. What? Was this a request for an arranged marriage? Me? Tanganak nodded his head. No, I am a Taoist. Ugh. Say hello. Seeing that, Tang So-so smiled brightly, and Chongmyung smiled too. Sahyung! Sect Leader Sahyung!